Hi, this is Stephanie Hansen, and you are listening to the Makers of Minnesota podcast, where we talk to cool people doing cool things. And I should preface this conversation by saying we are in week 2 of quarantine on the coronavirus. I think I'm actually in week 3, but for most people, they're in week 2. So if the audio quality is a little bit different than you're used to, please bear with us as we try to navigate new technologies. Sorry, Josie, hold on. As we try to navigate new technologies moving forward, the Makers of Minnesota is an opportunity for us to talk to cool people in our state that are doing cool things. And I have an artist to talk to today, which makes me very happy because I think in times like this, art is something that can give us a respite and bring us together. My guest today is Josie Lewis from Josie Lewis Art. Hi, Josie.
Hi.
Thanks for being with us today. Yeah, it's been a little technologically challenging, so I appreciate your patience. Everybody's learning new stuff. How long have you been quarantined at this point, Josie?
I saw a meme the other day that said, wow, what a year this week has been. And that's kind of what it feels like. But I'd say, let's see. Well, my daughter had spring break before all of this started.
Oh, wow.
And then it just segued into, no school. So I guess this is the start of the third week for me.
Yeah, me too.
If I count spring break as, kind of the runner-up when everybody was like starting to get worried. I mean, it's a crazy time.
Yes.
Crazy time. Yep.
So as an artist, I would assume do you work from home or do you work from a studio? How do you produce your art currently?
Yeah. So I have a home studio, which has always been my preference. And I actually am just in the concluding phases of a big studio renovation. So I've been, in the last weeks, I've been just trying to put my studio back together, basically. And it's from home, so it works fairly well.
Yeah, so you're kind of used to working from home, as it were, although I'm sure the distractions of kids and life and all that stuff.
Yes, yeah. It actually, really materially, my life hasn't changed that much, besides the addition of a 7-year-old and a full-grown human man, my husband, who is working from home as well.
Yep.
So that changes things a little. The dynamic is a little bit different, but really, it's the same for me. Not too different.
So one thing that I really liked about you, besides your art, because I think I first discovered you on Instagram, is you have taken this position of trying to help other artists in figuring out how to market their art. And that's really interesting to me. How did you sort of decide to take on that persona, or had you done public speaking, or how did you get into that world of helping other artists market their work? Because so many artists, it's kind of a personal thing. They maybe are very introverted. Doing sales of their art is just not something that they're super comfortable with. So that really intrigued me when I saw your site, that you do almost as much work evangelizing for artists as you do creating it yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I love that term, evangelizing, because that's how I feel. I feel like my mission these days, and especially now, is to help artists and creatives. It's a pretty big bucket. It includes, would for sure even include just your general small business owner, because everything that we do as small business owners has to be creative. So, and then in this global world with the online resources that we have, I just think everybody should avail themselves of every tool that we have at our disposal. And I really want to help people do it. And so that's been this kind of an evolving mission, because I started out, I was a declared artist in my teens, and my dad is an artist. And then I went to art school, and then I went to grad school. I got at the University of Minnesota. And all of that, I'm old enough that I've been on the cusp of the internet, renaissance, because I remember getting my first email account at 21 or something, like it was like, what is this strange thing, and then even in grad school, it was all brick and mortar. It was all, artists had to use the available, I guess, methods to get their work out there, which had to do with galleries and museums, and it was all real life stuff, in person, which is amazing. And we are always going to want to see art in real life. Like, that's never going to change. It's really important to be able to see it, and certainly to be able to purchase it when we're looking at the piece of art in person, but there's been this huge transformation of like just our available market went from a couple thousand in our hometown to 7 billion.
Yeah, and so it's amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you selling, like, you do a lot on Instagram? You're very active there. Do you sell art right off of Instagram?
I find, this is like just my own experience as I've been navigating these waters, is that I find the best thing that Instagram does for me is to provide kind of like a handshake and to start a relationship with someone who, happens upon me because of, my videos. I make these process videos of my work, so people can watch these videos of me making a painting that are hyperlapse, so it's an hour. The painting took me an hour, but I speed it down to 30 seconds or something. And then that's kind of what my claim to fame sort of on the internet. I've had more than 1 billion views of those speedy paintings. And then then my goal is always to pull them to my website. And then the goal of my website is to pull their emails so that I can have a more reliable connection with the people that, are fans. And social media does not provide that reliable connection. It's a great tool, but it's not the way to keep in touch. And I don't find that when I'm actually selling a product, that just throwing a shout out on social media drives a lot of sales, but my email list sure does.
Let's talk about that, because I think that that's probably surprising for people that we're back to email marketing, but you're not alone in the thinking there, that these are we call them P1s in the radio business. These are your number one fans. These are people that you can get into their homes every single week. And yet, for me personally, with my content, I spend very little time actually on my email marketing newsletters. And what I'm hearing you say is that's a mistake.
Yeah, my own experience and just what I do a lot of reading and research, and my own experience and my research tells me that those emails, the people that are on my email list are worth just cash money. And I absolutely have learned that I can't rely on the algorithm in whatever, social media platform that you're on, to drive sales or to drive visits. I mean, Facebook has changed, Instagram changes, there's new platforms. Everything is always in this constant state of revolution, which is fine and great. But it's, people talk about the big change that Facebook did in, I don't know, it was like 2015 maybe or 16, when they just were like, sorry, no one's going to see your stuff now.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
it's over. People had hundreds of thousands or millions even of followers that just now 2% of them would see their posts. And that's their prerogative. They can do that anytime. But we don't want to have all our eggs in that basket.
Right.
So, really my goal now for years has been to pull people into my list, because then, they can unsubscribe, which is fine. I don't want people on my list that don't want to be there,
Yep.
But that means that if Instagram stops showing my work to them, which happens all the time, then I still have a way to reach out and be like, hey, I'm still making stuff. I still have free content. I still have cool stuff available for sale, and it really, it's a big generator for me for energy, and also for value exchange of people buying stuff.
So when you think about your daily work life, what percentage of your daily work life is spent making art versus making marketing to promote the art?
Yeah, so I think I'm in like a pivot at the moment, and probably for the last year, because I'll tell a little bit of my personal story.
Yeah.
I went through grad school, and then I was just doing all the things, doing my exhibitions and getting grants and selling art, but in the brick and mortar world. And then I married later in my life. I was in my mid-30s, and right away we had a baby. So that was like, a big change in my life. Our little Gigi, who's now 7. And we decided to try to have a second child. And I was unable. Like I had a lot of losses, multiple miscarriages, and around that time too, a full-term stillbirth.
Mm-hmm.
Which was,
So
incredibly, it was very difficult, very devastating time. And kind of congruently with that time, and, all these things are intertwined, of course. I had a toddler and, a husband, and everything in my life had changed. And then I was going through the weed whipper as far as fertility and losses and health issues. And I mean, it was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And I also was not feeling like super jazzed about my art career, like I was doing all the things, but I didn't really feel like I had a real solid community that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That was really, I was just kind of like, I don't think I found my people. And so there was a point there around the time that I decided, my husband and I were like, that's it. We're not doing this anymore. Like we're not going to try to have a baby anymore, because it was just too many losses. And at that point I was about 40. So it was like, okay, let's call it, we're calling it, we're done. And then I also was like, and maybe I won't be an artist either. Like I knew I was a creative person, but I thought, I think this isn't working. I'm going to try some other things, like I'll probably keep making stuff, but I think that trying to get into this art world I felt like I was bashing my head against a wall. I wasn't going anywhere. And then around that time, I had a, very small Instagram following, maybe a couple hundred people that I knew personally, friends and family, like the way most people use their Instagram. And I was doing these watercolor patterns that I was doing just for personal therapy. It was kind of, it wasn't art that I thought, oh, I'm definitely going to try to sell this or show this or use in support of a grant or, try to get a solo show of this. I didn't consider it a body of work. I just considered it journaling kind of. So it was just like painting, repeating shapes in rainbow palette. And it was so therapeutic for me that I was like, I couldn't help myself almost. I had to do that work during that time. And I made a time-lapse video of one of those paintings, and it went viral, even with my, very small Instagram following. So I did it again thinking, well, that must have been a fluke, and the same thing happened. And then I just started posting a video every day of these time-lapse videos of me painting, and my Instagram account exploded, and I was getting millions and then billions of views. I mean, it really went, significantly viral. And then after that happened, for a while, I was still, thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll still be an artist.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine.
This is the universe telling me something.
Right. This is the universe telling me something. But it looked different, and then I was realizing that what was most satisfying to me was hearing from people who were having, I would hear two things. One was that people would get like mini flow from watching my videos. Like there was a therapeutic effect that they would have, like a healing and restorative, like mini meditation, from watching my videos, which of course I was doing for healing and restoration, just in a longer term, And so that was like really satisfying to me that my videos were like not just entertaining, but also providing this kind of like soporific, it was like people felt calmer after they'd watched them, so I thought that was really cool. And then also the second thing that I was hearing all the time was that people were saying, I've always wanted to paint, and now I feel like I can, I'm watching your videos and I can do that too, So, that was so, I've always had kind of the heart of a teacher. I taught at the college level, and I've done workshops for years, and I love, communicating with people, if I meet someone and they have any question about social media or art, I will be life coaching them within 20 minutes, I will be like, okay, let's sit down and talk about what's your question? Hashtag. All right, let's go, So that's just a part of how I'm wired. So I was loving to help people who had never painted before, start painting, just like kind of tutorial style, like, okay, here's what you do. So I got a chance to write a book, which was all about coaching people on just practical art stuff, like beginner materials and that sort of thing. And then, and so then things were slowly pivoting where I was like, I am now, providing I'm an inspirational source for people,
right,
to create, to follow their own creative path. And that was really exciting to me. But it was a change, because it was like, well, I kind of gave up on the fine art world, and now I'm like the Martha Stewart of art or something, like kind of, I'm a Bob Ross character almost, it was this interesting, I did not anticipate that, and I wouldn't have necessarily picked it, but that was what was happening. And so, and then as that kind of slowly changed sort of my heart about what I'm like, kind of my awareness of my calling. And so as that, this is over the course of several years, of course, I ended up, making a watercolor course, like a course that people could buy. And that was, really successful. This is last year. And then I started really, connecting with a lot of my followers. And I was realizing, that so many people, there's plenty of people that just do art as a casual hobby,
right.
just for fun, they don't ever plan to show it or sell it. But there's a lot of people, especially in this day and age, that have a creative thing that they do, and they're wondering, like, can I sell this somewhere? Like, is there a way, and there's not a lot of, there's a gap in the market as far as helping people, to get to like, what do I do? Where do I even start if I want to sell my art, or, approach social media as a business rather than, just a casual thing. So then I've started to slowly, hold on, my daughter is interrupting. Hey,
Nope.
Gigi, no, you absolutely may not. Put that down and do not interrupt me again, please. I'll be done in a few minutes. She's asking for candy. No. I apologize for that.
No, it's fine. I can edit it out.
Okay. So I was finding that a lot of the people that I was connecting with were asking for more details, like, how do you do social media, and where should I use my website to sell, or should I use Etsy, and I have so much information about, now I've had, most my entire adult life, I've either been selling in the brick and mortar world, or I've been online,
Right.
To, varying degrees of success. And then I also have, tons of people in my life that are, thriving or not thriving in a creative career. And so I just have seen so much. And now I really want to provide resources for people, to figure out like, what are the best ways to move forward as a creative if you want to either have a side hustle, or, maybe you're expanding your current side hustle and, you want to go full time. And that's real exciting to me right now.
Yeah. And you're really good at it. You
Well,
really
thank you.
speak in a way that feels accessible and like, oh, I can try this, or if she can do this, I can do this. And that was really what resonated with me and why I wanted to talk to you on Makers of Minnesota, because I think sometimes what we start out to do isn't necessarily what our gift is, but we end up kind of putting it all together, and that's a gift. And content creation is a gift. It's hard for a lot of people to generate and produce the content that gets pairs of eyes interested, and you seem to have done that very handily. So congratulations. I thought your Instagram site is where I saw you first, and it's just a blast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Real blast.
Yep.
So if you were going to give, we're in a unique time here where everyone is cloistered in their homes.
Yep.
We are going to have a societal shift that we don't know yet, I think.
Yep.
We are already all online, but I think people are going to try to crave more interconnectivity. And I do think like going to websites and email marketing and some of those, what would maybe seem old fashioned ways, might become really important if, especially with makers, you're maybe not able to get out there and have the whole sales and distribution effort right now. So you can sell products on your website, right?
Yes. And it's still early days,
Very.
to see what kind of shrapnel we're going to be dealing with from
Yep.
this huge thing. It's like really massive. And I know a lot of artists and creatives that they had, 4 side gigs and all of them got canceled,
Yes.
like they've got nothing, and I feel so fortunate and grateful because I sent out an email to my email list offering, I have this, Watercolor for Rebels course that I mentioned earlier. And I didn't really know if that was something that people would want to be buying right now. And I almost felt weird about trying to sell it, but I was like, hey, I've got this thing, if you're home and you're looking for something to do, like you might, I did a sale on it and the orders were astronomical. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So this email thing, like the fact that I've been working on this email list, for 2 years is now putting me in a position when this huge sea change is happening to not be in a dire financial position, which is like I said, I'm very, very grateful. And I have so much compassion for all the folks that aren't in a great financial position because I was there. I mean, I waited tables and made art for most of my adult life, so just, 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh no, like I can't, I'm not going to survive. And so, so what that says to me is that I think a lot of people, and especially artists that maybe have been resisting, being more active on social media will now realize how essential it is
and how powerful.
How powerful and maybe start to, reach out for those resources that I'm in the process of generating, like I'm building a course right now for creatives. I'm doing a lot of, research and like personal calls with people that to kind of like just understand where people are at and what their pain points are, the creatives, So I've talked to musicians and I talked to writers. So it is, like I said, it's a real big bucket. And I'm, in the process of developing a membership. And this stuff will take a couple months, before I roll it out. But I think there's a real need for it. And it's a real value that I can bring, because I've been doing it for, a while now.
You are amazing. I love the creativity and the energy with which you're bringing to this pretty unique problem that we're all facing, right? And
yes, yeah.
For me, it goes in waves, right? Sometimes it feels so overwhelming. I just can't really give anymore because I feel like I'm absorbing so much pain and so much anxiety and uncertainty.
Yeah.
And then I kind of wake up the next day and I'm like, oh, okay, I can be the giver today. It feels like I'm sort of cycling through my own waves of anxiety and fear. And then I marshal my forces the next day and I can do it. So I think it's going to take just a village, right? Because you're not going to have it every day, every minute. But some people they ooze positivity. They're the people that are automatically thinking about if something's broken, how to fix it. And it takes all of us to make that work, right? Sometimes it just takes the self-reflection. Other times it takes the doers.
Yeah. And we all need a guide. I think that is something that I'm learning. I probably would have resisted hiring a coach or someone to like walk me through different business things or entrepreneurial things that I didn't know about. But the further along I get, the more coaches I want.
Isn't that true?
Like, wait a second. Yeah.
I do social media for someone who's a personal coach and a business coach. And it's really interesting how a business coach or personal or life coach, whatever you want to call it, how they can just help you like clarify your thoughts and create actionable steps that keep moving you forward when you get stuck.
Yep.
Can you think of an example that you'd be willing to share that would be like a concrete example of how someone got you to the other side of something?
Let's see. Let me think about that for a second. I've used a lot of different coaches, either, like I just bought B School with Marie Forleo. So
Yeah.
some of your folks might know about that. It's an expensive course. And of course it's not one-on-one. But it's really, really great material. And she acts as that kind of mentor coach. Not, obviously I'm not having personal calls with her, although that'd be awesome, but
You're not
that's
above
not what's
it.
happening. No, right. I'm not right. I'm not above it. If she wanted to talk to me, I'd certainly be willing to. But anyway, that's been really helpful. Just to like add some underlining in a lot of the things that I've been thinking about, and kind of new ways to approach it. So that that was like something. The course is quite expensive, and I would never have considered it. Just because it's like, well, there's so much free stuff out there. I can, and
Yep.
now I'm like, no, this actually it does have real value. And so then that's been helpful. And then I've had, I work with this lady in town here who does coaching for people, and we have calls maybe once a month or so, and she's quite intuitive, and she really is gifted at like really, like you're saying, getting to the heart of the matter. And she's not really a business coach per se, but she she can kind of work with people wherever they're at, and she's been really great, because they're I'm in the woods, like I'm in the woods and I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. And I know one thing that I've really been learning is that though, having coaches and mentors and looking at people like that are far ahead of me, like Marie Forleo, who's, just a brilliant business coach, mentor, all those things. I can't do it the way she did it. And I wouldn't want to, because right. It's like personality driven. So it's like, I can look at her model, but then I need to find my own way through, with my own unique talents and my own niche and my own voice. And it's really, I feel like the thing that has been on my mind a lot the last 6 months is that, what is essential in this sea of voices on social media is to come to the table with our personality, with each individual person's personality, because there's a million business coaches, and there's probably a lot of creative business coaches, and there's more emerging all the time because there's a hole in the market for that. But I don't consider them to be competition, because it's all about the voice. There's plenty of people, even like Marie Forleo, that have really great information, but I'm not really interested in them because they don't speak my language or something. It's like, it's not because they're not any good, it's because they're not my people, So what I'm seeking right now is to find my people. Yep. They're the ones that, when I'm giving my, my IGTV chats and my YouTube chats, that they're the ones that are like, I don't even want to sell my art, but I love listening to you.
Yeah. And it's the authenticity.
The authenticity. Yep.
And you can't, people talk about that word a lot, and it's getting thrown around a lot more.
Yeah.
But you either have it or you don't. So if that's not your strength or not your gift, then maybe create or move your channels into a different direction. But if you do have it, people will just watch you talk about anything because you're like friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting. Well, I'm anxious to see where you go with all this. JosieLewisArt.com is where people can find the watercolor kits, I'm assuming.
It's Josie Lewis, josielewis.com.
Great.
And then I have, like, especially my art and business stuff, I have like a membership that I'm developing, and it's currently on a wait list, but, I invite people to sign up, and, they'll be hearing from me soon.
All right. And what we'll do is we'll put links to all this information so it's handy in the notes for the podcast. Josie, thank you so much for being my guest today and for hanging out with me while we technically move forward into the new sphere of podcasting and broadcasting from home, right?
Yes.
I really appreciate it. Say hi to that little Gigi bug for me and have a great day.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.